Anyways, ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to Streaming for Vengeance, none other than the mighty Kerry King. How you doing, my friend?
Um, Surprisingly not bad.
How's Canada been treating you?
It's pretty cold. We went from not last night, but the night before we went through from Vancouver to Calgary. That was a pretty shitty ride, but we made it.
Now, before we kick in here, I want to get your comments on the John Sykes death. Were you a
You
fan?
know, I was a fan, and I didn't know anything was wrong with him. But being on the tour, I haven't had time to do a lot of research on it or anything.
Yeah, he was a little bit of a recluse in the last few years, but anyways, very shocking. Now, please, like a young band that Kerry King is now, right?
Yeah.
um, Gelling on the road. It must bring you back to when Slayer was a young band, and the road makes it happen, right?
Yeah, it's not completely like starting over, but it's definitely got a starting over vibe, um, regardless of my career and how long I've been doing it. Um, but I'm having fun like I had in the beginning of Slayer. So, you know, I love all these guys. We're already a family. I got a lot of my crew from Slayer working for us. So
Right.
it's it's starting over with some old friends, really.
Now, aside from the obvious, name us some major differences between a Slayer tour and a Kerry King tour?
Well, the amount of money being spent, the amount of money earned. You're putting on a bigger show for bigger crowds. Um, and these aren't complaints. You just asked me a question. I'm answering.
Right.
Um, I'm digging this. Um, Being I have done this for a long, long time, we don't have to like not have any bells and whistles. Like we've got more production than a totally new band would have.
Right.
Uh, So, it's we're in a good place. It's a good spot for album one.
Now, when you were choosing Slayer songs, did it feel weird when you heard Mark sing a Slayer song? And what was the first song you jammed with him?
The first Slayer song?
Yeah.
Oh God, I have no idea. When he came down the first time before he had this gig, so that would have been like, I don't know, 10, 12 months before he had this gig. I gave him, a list of Slayer songs and I said, pick a couple you like. And I said, come down, we'll record it and see what it sounds like. And me and Paul had a super long rehearsal day on new KK stuff, because we were recording and trying to get new things for us to dwell on. And we got to the end and we were both shot, and those recordings were shit. We were so beat. Um, and I said, come back next time, and I'll send you some of my lyrics, and see see how you sound on the new material, because man, we were so beat that day. It doesn't seem like you would get to the point where you're tired of playing guitar, but our brains were fried. And
Now,
as far as songs we did that day, we did a odd one. We did Cast the First Stone. We did Raining Blood. We did maybe Capture a Sin. We did five or six.
now, I've been going with family reunions to Michigan for decades. And in the 80s, I went to one and I found the station called Z Rock. And I heard Abigail for the first time, Appetite for Destruction, and The Ultraviolence by Death Angel. When did you first hear Death Angel and Mark's voice?
He opened for us Slayer when he was 16. Um,
Wow.
and he would know, it was someplace in the Bay Area, obviously. Um, he just told the story the other day, and I don't remember the venue, but I've heard it off and on over the years, and we became close friends in the 2000 teens. And basically, right after Slayer was done, or right before, I can't remember. I saw him somewhere, and he said, "I want to throw my name in the hat, King." So I always kept that in the back of my mind. And he's the only one that ever came down and demoed things with me and Paul, even though he didn't have the gig. He was down there a number of times, And we just kept working things to make it better.
Now, tell me about the challenges. Tell me about the challenges of trying to make this record not sound like a Slayer record. And how many times did you have to rewrite things?
I didn't rewrite anything based on that. Number one, I think it's going to sound like a Slayer record because I wrote it.
Right.
And I wrote 95% of the last Slayer record. So, I mean, if you were expecting something that didn't sound like a Slayer record, I could have told you day one, you're not going to be happy. That's just how I write, you know. Um, and I don't try to make it sound like that. I would rather it not, but I have a distinct style, and that's not going to go away.
Now, I see you're also doing some Diano covers, and I'm a huge Maiden fan, particularly those first two records. How did that death? I hate keeping talking about death, but that was a major death too.
Well, you are talking to me.
Yeah. Right.
The funny thing about that long, long story is me and Jeff talked about that probably 35 years ago because we always thought it was a cool song and they didn't play it that long. But me and Jeff got sidetracked making Slayer records and touring a lot. And me and Demo started talking about it. And I'm like, I want to do covers in this band because I only have one album. And if I'm headlining, I have to. So I said, I want to do covers by bands that either don't exist anymore or bands that do exist but don't play these particular songs. So that's what I'm basing that kind of thing on. And right now, the only covers we're doing are the two Maiden ones, but we have more on the horizon when we get a chance to rehearse.
So how many Slayer offers are you getting inundated daily?
I don't know. My manager don't tell me all of them. He'll just forward ones to me that make sense because we're adamant that we're not going to tour anymore. But we're making up that louder. I think it's Louder Than Life, the one that got skipped last year. We're
Right.
making that one up, so we're going to do something else around that. There's a couple shows in other territories, and that's it. That's it for this year, anyway.
Yeah. How do those discussions go with Tom? And
I don't know. I don't have
okay,
them.
okay, okay. Do you have a couple minutes? Do you have a couple more minutes?
Yeah, I'm good.
I'm just going to throw some random questions at you. The first time that you saw a Slayer saves sign with God scratched out,
I don't think I've seen one, tell you the truth.
have you seen the meme though?
I don't think so.
Instead of God saves, it has Slayer saves.
Oh, I get it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't. I
And
am. I did just get up, but I am awake. But I don't think I've seen that.
tell me the process of doing this.
Oh, my little drunko pop.
I love that.
Well, they basically, I think how it went down, they basically asked if we would be opposed to it or into it. Then they send you art ideas, and I was cool with mine, so I said, "Yeah, go with it."
Now, I call this the BraveWords rapid fire, some left field questions. And the obvious first question is, what's your favorite song on British Steel?
We were just talking about British Steel last night, so I got a few of them in my head. Um, but I want to pick a good one. Rapid fire.
Yeah, yeah.
There you go, man. You give me rapid fire questions. I give you a rapid fire fucking answer.
There you go. When was the moment when you decided music was your life, and did you have family support?
Um, Probably around the time we did Show No Mercy, because then you got something to show for what you're trying to do. Um, and my dad used to come to our shows when we were nobody because he was proud. But then I think it was somewhere around Hunting the Chapel Hellawaits, he kept poking at me to go because they had openings where he worked. He was an aircraft parts inspector, and he wanted to send me to school to be an X-ray technician, which would have been a great career.
Mhm.
And I remember I said, well, when I go on tour, can I just go and and do this thing. And he's like, well, no, you'll have to be an X-ray technician. And I'm like, no, thank you.
Well, speaking of Show No Mercy, that's my original flag. 40
Oh, cool.
plus years, dude. 40 plus years. Wow, such an honor. Have you ever asked for an autograph?
Oh, fuck yeah.
Okay.
I got I'm into, sports figures, and I'm into of course, my heroes. I've got a bunch of stuff. It's funny, my wife got a bunch of things signed for me because I'm never home. And the one time in 2004 when Halford came back to Priest, and it was Black Sabbath reunited, Priest reunited, and Slayer, which is one of the coolest things I ever played in my life. I had like 30 of my albums from when I was a kid. And I know Rob. It's just he was still a hero. And I couldn't bring it to myself to go ask him to sign everything. So on the last show, my wife went. She's the only woman that's ever been on Rob's bus, I think. And she had Rob sign everything. And
Wow.
he's like, why didn't Kerry ask me? I'm like, you know how he is.
Dude, I
So
was I was backstage with you at Camden watching you put nails in your interviewing Lombardo, but that was the show where Halford stood in for Sabbath.
yeah, I remember that.
Yeah. So crazy history there. Who is your rock star or metal god?
It's probably Halford. I mean, I made a list on my phone of my top 10 singers a while back, and they're not in order except for one and two. Um, and one, well, I'll tell you who number two is. Number two is Ronnie James Dio, and he's only number two because number one's Rob Halford.
Right. Aside from your passport and phone, what do you always travel with?
Liquor?
That's a good one. What do you think about the vinyl craze? Because it's absolutely crazy given we're almost the same age, right? We grew up with vinyl. What was your first vinyl purchase?
Originally,
Yeah, roughly.
I don't know because cassettes were pretty hot when I started buying. So I think one of the first ones I bought with my money was probably Van Halen 3, Women and Children First.
Okay. Wow. Love that album. Amazing album. What album or song do people talk to you most about?
I have no idea. I just had a long conversation with Brian Slagle about because he's doing a podcast, and it
Right.
was about the importance of black magic. So since I've done that recently, I would say black magic. But I mean, in any other perspective, I'd probably say I don't know, Raining Blood's a big thing to talk about. No, that's a tough question because you know fans. If I'm signing things for a fan and not somebody that's going to sell them on eBay, those fans have no idea what to say because they're so blown away that they're standing next to me. And I was the same way with my heroes.
Right.
So I try to make it easy and say, dude, you want pictures, enjoy this moment because if you don't, you're gonna fucking go home and say remember something you wish you fucking yacked at me about. So make sure you get all the questions in you can.
You're sitting at a bar with an empty chair. Who would you like to sit on it, past or present?
Run James Dio.
Your first concert.
I didn't get to know Dio as long as I would have liked to. I met him in '06, and he was just a joy from the minute you meet him. He was awesome, and that's not to discount any of my other friends, past or present, but um, you'd be surprised at how much sports knowledge Ronnie James Dio had.
Wow. What do you gravitate towards, Sabbath or his solo material or even Elf?
I'm gonna fucking go off the board and say Rainbow.
Yeah, of course. Of course. What would you be doing if you weren't in the music business?
I won't say that.
Is it another four-letter word?
um, wow, that's hard to say because I've been doing it 40 something years. So um, I don't know. Maybe I would have been in the sports industry, but I'm not big enough to play any sport. I wouldn't even be on the fucking B team. So it's hard to say, but preferably maybe I don't know, something having to do with sports.
What was your worst job while playing in a band?
My early jobs were all stupid teenage jobs. Like I worked in a pet store, I worked at a mini golf place. Um, and you can pick either one of those. I worked at the mini golf place for like a month because then my hair got too long. They told me to cut it, and I said, "Nah, later." And now I have no hair.
When Ozzy released Speak of the Devil, he kicked off with Symphony of the Universe, and you had a word a couple of weeks ago called badassery, which I had to Google, and I think it's now in the dictionary. So we're talking about that glorious album. Do you own a pair of red pants though?
Do I want?
Or does your wife?
No, I have. I'm trying to think. I did have something red recently. My record company gave me a red shirt. I had a Christmas party to go to, and they wanted me to be festive, so I wore that record company shirt.
What's speaking of Funko, your Drunko, I will quote you on that. Merch idea. What's the weirdest merch idea that Slayer or you personally have been pitched that you either turned down or you didn't turn down?
um, I don't know offhand. I mean, we've got all kinds of action figures, be it Knuckle Bones or the Drunko Pops or stuff like that. The weirdest thing would be some of the artwork that gets negated. Like when we see all the art for potential shirts, some of them are like, "What are you thinking? Who'd you make this shirt for? Do you know you made it for Slayer?"
Do you have a hand with or can you tell us about any like the anniversaries and all the reissues and what's going on with the catalog? And
Stuff like that. Um, I it's everything's sent to me to approve,
of course,
and I do look at everything. So it may not be it may not be my idea to do it in the first place, but if I don't want it to come out, there's nothing I could do to keep it from coming out because the rights are owned by the record company. So that part I have no control over, but how it looks, I do.
give me short, long-term plans for the rest of the year.
Well, like I said, there's a handful of Slayer shows. My band is going to South America in May. My band's going to Europe in July and August. And that might be the last thing, but there's another thing on the horizon I'm hoping comes through. So either at the end of summer or sometime in the fourth quarter, we'll be done.
Amazing, amazing. Well, congratulations on the record. Thanks for coming up to Canada and visiting us, and hopefully we'll cross paths again soon.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Come out.
Awesome. Take care, dude.
Cheers,
Travel
brother.
safe. Okay, cheers.